Before we begin, please leave a comment, share your thoughts and let us know your lessons learned in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Let me tell you a story of two girls who were once closer than sisters, whose bond defied class, upbringing, and even logic. A story that begins with laughter and ends in betrayal so deep it cuts to the soul. Simone and Julie. Just the sound of their names together brought warmth to those who knew them growing up. They were inseparable. Simone, with her quiet strength and unwavering determination, and Julie, the whirlwind of charm and mischief who lit up every room she entered. Two opposite worlds colliding, one from modest means, the other bathed in wealth and privilege, but somehow it worked, or so it seemed. They met at Sunday school. Simone, always early, her little dress perfectly pressed, sitting in the front row, hands folded. Julie would burst through the church doors 10 minutes late, giggling, hair bouncing, usually in something designer, even as a child. It didn't take long before they were best friends, bound by hours of whispered dreams, pinky promises, and playground secrets. But time has a way of testing even the strongest bonds. By the time they reached university, cracks began to show. Simone had earned her place through pure grit, long nights, scholarships, part-time jobs. Julie? One phone call from her father to the university board, and she was in. "Papa sits on the board," she had said with a wink. "Connections, darling." Simone smiled politely, but a silent discomfort brewed. And that's where the story really begins, not in the playground, not in the pews of their childhood church, but in the dorm room they shared on the first day of university. Julie flopped onto her bed dramatically. Simone," she sighed, tossing her designer heels to the side. "Do you ever do anything fun?" Simone looked up from her textbook with a half-smile. "Well, someone has to pass the exams." That was their rhythm, Julie teased. Simone deflected, but there was always love. Until Sam walked in. Dr. Sam, tall, kind, with eyes that saw past the surface. He met Simone at the campus clinic, routine checkup. She was quiet, polite, and radiant without trying. He couldn't take his eyes off her. Julie was with her that day, laughing loudly, trying to steal the moment. But for once, her charm didn't work. Sam's gaze remained locked on Simone. From then on, everything changed. Sam began showing up more often, waiting outside lectures with coffee, helping carry her books, surprising her with little notes. Simone blushed, hesitant, unsure of how to receive such attention. Julie watched from the sidelines, smiled tight, hands clenched. It was supposed to be her moment. She had the looks, the flair, the confidence, but Sam saw only Simone. And then came the birthday. Simone's surprise party, balloons, cake, and all their friends. Sam stood up in front of everyone, heart racing, hands trembling. "Simone," he said, dropping to one knee, pulling out a ring that sparkled under the fairy lights. "Will you marry me?" The crowd erupted in cheers. Everyone, except Julie. She stood frozen, her glass slipping from her fingers, shattering like her heart. She had known this day would come, but she never imagined how much it would hurt. Simone said yes, of course. How could she not? Sam was everything she had never dared to dream of. And yet, even as they embraced, a shadow loomed. Julie smiled through the pain, hugged her friend tightly, whispered, "I'm so happy for you." But inside, she was unraveling. And when envy creeps in, it doesn't knock, it invades. Julie remembered something, the prophet. A man her family revered. A man whose words were treated as divine. Sam's mother was devout, and so was Sam. They believed in visions, signs, and prophecies. If the prophet disapproved, the engagement would be over. Julie paid him a visit. "Prophet Thomas," she said sweetly, her voice dipped in innocence. "I need spiritual guidance." She wore a dress that hugged her curves and left little to the imagination. His eyes lingered. She knew she had him. What began as conversations turned into something physical. And Julie, clever and cruel, filmed it all. One night, after yet another encounter, she cornered him. "I need a favor," she said, showing him the video on her phone. "Tell Sam's mother you had a vision. That Simone has had an abortion. Convince them she's not the one." The prophet paled. "Please, I'll pay. I don't want your money." Julie cut him off coldly. "I'll tell you when it's time." Days later, the wheels were in motion. Sam's mother called him, frantic. "Sam, I had a dream. and the prophet confirmed it. "The girl you're marrying, she's had an abortion. You must not proceed." Sam was stunned. His faith was shaken. He loved Simone, but this? He had to ask. "Simone," he said that evening, hands trembling, voice barely above a whisper. "I need to ask you something important." She turned to him, concerned. "What is it?" There's a rumor. A vision. My mother, she said the prophet claims you had an abortion." Silence. Simone's face turned white. "What? I don't believe it," he added quickly. "I just need to hear it from you." Tears welled in her eyes. "You think I would hide something like that from you? You think I'm capable of lying to you?" "No, I mean, I don't know," Sam stammered. "It's just, the prophet." "Forget the prophet," Simone cried, her voice rising. "What about me? Don't you trust me?" Sam said nothing. The silence was louder than any words. That night, Simone walked away, her heart shattered, and Julie watched it all unfold, hiding a smirk behind a veil of concern. The friendship they once shared, the bond built on childhood memories, secrets, and prayers, was now ashes. But this story is far from over. You see, sometimes, the ones closest to us wear the most convincing masks. Sometimes, love is not enough when faith is weaponized. And sometimes, the greatest betrayals come from the ones who used to hold our hand. This was only the beginning. If part 1 was the tremor, part 2 is the quake. When Simone walked away from Sam that night, her heart in pieces and tears stinging her eyes, she thought that would be the end. End of love, end of trust, end of everything. But endings, as we know, are often just disguised beginnings. Sam was left standing in silence, the ring still in his pocket, and 1,000 doubts echoing in his mind. He loved Simone. He knew her, but the words of the prophet clung to him like a shadow. His mother repeated them like scripture. A woman who has ended a life cannot begin a marriage. And Julie? She was already working on the next step. You see, some betrayals are sharp and sudden, others are slow, carefully brewed like poison in a silver cup. Julie had chosen the latter. And now, with Simone gone, she slid into the space left behind like a serpent into an empty nest. At first, it was small things, checking in on Sam, bringing him coffee, asking about his mother's health. She played the loyal friend, the patient confidant, and in the silence left by Simone, Sam began to lean on her more than he should have. Julie made herself indispensable. One evening, Sam confided in her. He told her everything, the prophecy, his doubts, how lost he felt. Julie listened, her face soft, her voice low. "Maybe," she whispered, "maybe this is a test. Maybe what's meant to be, is already right in front of you." Sam didn't answer, but he didn't push her away either. Julie knew she had to seal the deal. So she returned to the prophet Thomas, the very man she had manipulated before. His face had grown pale since their last encounter. His conscience was catching up. But Julie wasn't interested in guilt. "I need one more favor," she said. The prophet shook his head. "No, I've already sinned. I thought you said it would be just once." Julie leaned in, her voice like a blade. "You owe me. You know what I have on you." She didn't need to say more. The prophet nodded slowly. Defeated. "What do you want this time?" "Tell Sam's mother that Simone's abortion was recent. Just before they met. Make it seem fresh. Make it unforgivable." The prophet closed his eyes. "You'll destroy them." Julie smiled. "That's the point." The next day, the prophecy came. "Sam," his mother said over the phone. Breathless, frantic, "the prophet has seen another vision. The abortion, it wasn't in her past. It was just before you met her." Sam's hands trembled. He dropped into a chair, head spinning. "That's not possible. She told me, she's never." "Prophets don't lie. Sam, this is serious. You must act." By the time Simone heard the new rumor, it was too late. The lie had traveled faster than truth could breathe. Sam asked her again, and this time, Simone broke. "What do you want me to say?" she cried. "I've never done anything like that. Why can't you trust me instead of some stranger with a title?" Sam's silence was the answer. "I don't know anymore," he said, almost in a whisper. And with that, Simone left for the second time. But this time, she didn't cry. Her face was hard, her back straight. She walked out of his apartment and didn't look back. Sam was torn in half. But Julie was there, always there. She made herself his comfort, his distraction. When he wanted to forget, she helped him forget. When he missed Simone, She reminded him of the truth. When he broke down, she held him, not too close, but close enough. Weeks passed, then months. Sam's mother grew impatient. You can't waste time, Sam. The prophet said if you miss your appointed date, you may never marry. We need to find someone now. Sam hesitated. His heart still whispered Simone's name in the dark. But the pressure mounted. Julie was perfect on paper, loyal, supportive, always present. And if the prophet said his soulmate was someone already beside him? Julie encouraged the thought but never pushed. She let it simmer. And one night, in his mother's house, with Julie seated beside him, Sam gave in. Maybe this is what was meant to happen, he said. Julie looked at him with carefully restrained joy. I've always believed everything happens for a reason. They announced their engagement the following week. When Simone heard, she thought it was a joke. But no one was laughing. She showed up at Julie's apartment, furious. You were my best friend, she shouted. You knew how much I loved him. How could you do this? Julie faked remorse. Simone, I never meant for any of this. Sam was broken. And I just. Liar. Simone spat. You're behind all of it. The prophet. The lies. I don't know how yet. But I'll find out. And when I do, the whole world will know who you really are. Julie's mask slipped. Her voice dropped to ice. Why don't you face it? Simone? You've always had everything. The looks. The brains. The love. But not this time. This time, I win. Sam is mine now. Simone walked out. Her fists clenched. She was done with mourning. It was time for justice. And then, fate intervened. The night before the wedding, Julie celebrated her victory with a wild bachelorette party. Clubbing, drinking, dancing with no shame. She recorded everything, photos, videos, even voice notes. Then, half drunk, she tried to post it all to her social media and WhatsApp statuses. But the network was slow. The uploads didn't go through immediately. Julie passed out, phone still in hand. Morning came, wedding day. The network returned. And every video, every single one, including the hidden ones she had filmed with the prophet, uploaded to her feed, to her statuses, to her group chats. The truth, in all its raw ugliness, began to spread like wildfire. Guests at the church began whispering. Phones buzzed. Screens lit up with scenes no one expected to see on a wedding day. Julie, in compromising positions. Julie, blackmailing a man of God. Julie, laughing about her plan. Simone received the videos at home. Her breath caught in her throat. Tears welled, but this time, not from sadness. It was vindication. She and her mother rushed to the church. Inside, Julie stood at the altar beside Sam, her dress shimmering, her heart pounding. Something felt wrong. The priest called for silence. And then, stop. A voice rang out through the church like thunder. Everyone turned. There stood Simone, holding up her phone. You want to marry her? She said, walking down the aisle. Then watch this first. She pressed play. The room went silent. And on the screen, Julie's sins spilled out for everyone to see. Sam stared in horror. The prophet Thomas's wife stormed into the church moments later, dragging her disgraced husband behind her. Before anyone could speak, he confessed, publicly, loudly, broken. Julie fell to her knees, sobbing. I just wanted someone to choose me for once, she whispered. Sam turned to Simone, who stood tall. You never let me speak, she said, voice steady. You never trusted me. He dropped to his knees. Forgive me, he begged, please. But Simone stepped back. You believed a lie because it came wrapped in faith. That's on you. And she left. Not broken, not defeated, stronger. And that is where part 2 ends. But not the story. Because sometimes, healing begins where trust is destroyed. And sometimes, redemption must be earned, not through words, but through action. And for Sam, that journey was only just beginning. If truth is a sword, then this was the moment it cut through every lie. Julie's secret life had burst into daylight in the worst way possible, on the very day she had dreamed of her entire life. At the altar, dressed in white, her dream unraveling in real time, she was forced to watch her carefully woven web collapse under the weight of a single voice, Simone's. The church was in chaos. Gasps echoed. Phones buzzed. The prophet Thomas, dragged to the front by his own wife, made a public confession that struck like lightning through the ceremony. Yes, he had lied. Yes, He had been blackmailed. And yes, Julie had orchestrated every moment. Julie crumbled. All eyes were on her now, not in adoration, not in envy, but in shock, pity, and judgment. She tried to speak, but her voice was drowned out by the murmurs and the sting of shame flooding the room. Sam stood still, his body frozen, his mind racing. The woman he had believed, the woman he was moments away from marrying, and the woman he had doubted, the only one who had ever truly loved him, was now walking away once more. This time with her head high and tears of vindication in her eyes. He tried to chase her. "Simone, wait," he cried, running down the steps of the church. But she didn't stop. "You never let me explain," she said through clenched teeth. "You never fought for me. You let a lie win." "I know," Sam whispered, breathless, "and I hate myself for it. I was blind, and I was weak. But please, don't walk away. Not again." Simone turned to him. Her eyes were red, but not broken. "This isn't about hate, Sam. It's about respect. And trust. You didn't just believe the prophet, you doubted me. You stood by while your mother and Julie erased everything we built." And with that, she left. In the days that followed, the story spread like wildfire across the community. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had something to say. Julie vanished from public view. Her parents, humiliated and furious, sent her to live with her sister in another country. She would later marry a wealthy man. But those who knew her said she never found true happiness. Not after what she did. The prophet Thomas was removed from his post and suspended for 1 year. His wife, after a painful confrontation, eventually forgave him, but his reputation would never fully recover. His name, once revered, now carried a stain that time would struggle to cleanse. And Sam? He was lost, in the silence of his apartment, surrounded by wedding invitations that would never be used. He broke down. He hadn't just lost Simone, he had betrayed himself. He had let fear and superstition override love. And now, he was paying the price. He reached out to Simone several times. She ignored every call. He tried to speak to her mother. She was kind but firm. "She needs time, and so do you." So, Sam did the only thing he could. He worked on himself. He withdrew from the noise and began therapy. He attended a different church, one that focused not on mystical visions or prophecies but on scripture, study, and personal relationship with God. He read, he prayed, he cried. Months passed, and then one Sunday morning, as the sun broke over the horizon, Simone received a letter. Not a text, not an email, a letter, handwritten, trembling, heartfelt. "Dear Simone, there are no words that can undo the pain I caused you. No apology that will ever feel enough. But I owe you the truth, the whole truth. At last. I was weak. I let voices outside of us dictate what I should believe. I let my fear of prophecy outweigh my trust in you. That was my greatest sin, not just against you, but against love itself. You were always honest, always good, and I chose to doubt the one person who never gave me a reason to. Since you left, I've tried to understand why I failed you. And I realized something. Faith isn't about blind obedience. It's about courage, and I lacked that courage when you needed it most. I've started again. New church, new guidance, real accountability. I've been learning how to listen, not to others, but to God and to myself. If you ever find it in your heart to talk, just once, I'll be here. Even if you never respond, I'll always be rooting for you. Forever yours, Sam." Simone read it in silence. Tears fell, not of anger, but of release. She didn't write back immediately. She needed time, but slowly, over weeks, she began to see a change, not just in the letter, but in the Sam who showed up once a month outside the church where she volunteered. Quietly waiting, never pushing. And then one day, she walked out and said, "Let's talk." They sat on a bench, under the same tree where they once ate lunch during university. The conversation was raw, painful, and honest. Sam didn't beg. He didn't make promises. He listened. And Simone, in that moment, saw not the man who failed her, but the man who had grown from it. A year passed, and one quiet spring afternoon, Sam knelt again. Same ring, new meaning. "I don't ask for a second chance because I deserve it," he said. "I ask because I'm ready to love you the way you always deserved." This time, Simone said yes. Their wedding wasn't grand. It was real, held in a garden surrounded by friends who had walked through fire with them. They stood under a simple white arch and spoke their vows, not as two perfect people, but as two souls reborn through pain, humility, and forgiveness. Julie was not there. Neither was the prophet. But Simone's mother held her daughter's hand and whispered, "He's not the same boy anymore. He's a man who knows the weight of a promise." Simone smiled, eyes shining with peace. "So am I. Thank you so much for staying with us until the very end of Simone and Sam's unforgettable journey. If this story touched your heart, made you think, or simply kept you hooked from the first word to the last, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Speech balloon, leave a comment below and let us know, do you think Simone made the right choice? And what would you have done? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories of love, betrayal, faith, and redemption. Your support means everything to us. Red Heart, see you in the next story.